Hello everybody and welcome to week 5, day 6 of the LPL. As you can see, we're in Chengdu. We are nearing the halfway point of the spring split. Seems like it's going way too quickly, probably too quickly for OMG, as they want to start off strong at some point. Filled crowds here as they know that they're going to be going up against JD. And hello, surprise, surprise, it's me, Brento Raz Muhammad, and I'm right next to Clement. Don't call me Clement Choo Choo. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, but I'm just wondering where my actual play-by-plays are.
I just snuck in. I hit them on top of the back of the head. You're like, oh, you're wicked. Boom.
All right. Well, it's fair. You get a day to practice your hosting, and I get a day to finally see you on the desk. It's all smiles, man.
Rush Hour Part 3. That's what I'm talking about.
I think it's Part 4 now already.
Yeah, let's go.
3 was out
Let's
already.
go. You better fist bump.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So, of course, to start us off, as we're nearing the halfway point of the split, let's just look at the standings here. Just to give you a brief back to it, FPX, if you didn't already know, 6-0, starting this one off at 9 game difference. It's going to take a lot to, kick them off that pedestal.
And the second team you have to look for, TOP taking down RNG in the match of the week yesterday. Knight is looking like the best LPL mid laner we've seen so far. And in the post-game interviews, they asked him, who do you want to face next? He skipped all the LPL mid laners.
Ooh.
He went straight for Griffin Chovy.
Oh my goodness, this is giving me that Perks vibe right now. When teams are that confident, they can feel like they could take on everybody. I wonder about EDG though, because now taking down Suning, look at where they're putting in the standings. They're 10th place, but if we're just talking about how far off are they in playoff standings, literally just 1 game away. Taking one series would just skyrocket them into the 5th place discussion. That's how close everyone is.
Yeah, you have to see from 2nd to 5th place, there's only 2 match of a difference right there, but we're going to kick off with today's matches.
Yep, starts in Chengdu, OMG versus JDG. Then we move on to BLG and Sino Dragons. And then, to end the night, EDG versus Rogue Warriors.
A lot of tight contests between these two teams. They're pretty much all in the middle of the pack. Only 1 match difference between all of these teams, really.
Yeah, it's a surprising point in the split at this point. It's funny, because you would expect some clarity halfway through the split. You would want to see a team breaking through the pack, and you're seeing a lot of them. But a lot of teams are just right in the thick of the thing. So I remember OMG is a good example of that, because right now, while they're 1-4, just 2 games off of being in playoff position, so they should start now if they want to have that chance.
Yeah, OMG is one of those old brand name teams with a lot of revamps this season, but we haven't really seen the pieces gel together. They're going to have to start doing it down the stretch.
They have to start up against JDG. Of course, going up against them, it seems like it's going to be a difficult task from minute 1. And when I say minute 1, I'm not talking about in-game. I'm talking about just the pick ban in general, because a lot to go up against. This is going to be a draft that we saw when they went up against BLG. What do we have to see here when JDG start off the drafting phase?
JD Gaming, they are the best blue side drafting team that we've seen so far. They're so consistent with that 1-2 punch of a first pick. If you give them Zoe, that's Yagao's best champion. You could see it in this draft here. He's not afraid to run it into counter picks like the LeBlanc, and it's his best champion in terms of the laning phase and in terms of the team fight. When he gets that Zoe, he's averaging 36% of his team's damage. Now, if you take it out of the draft, then they hit you with the Urgot, which is their highest win percentage champion, and it's a flex pick between the Zoe, between Yagao and Zoom in the top side. So very flexible in their blue side drafts. It is their preferred side overall, and even more, the third point is that with those first 3 picks, they do lock down a strong bot lane. Typically, the weak point on the map for JD Gaming, you give them that blue side, they have the flex pick early, they will fill in a strong bottom side for Imp. The Lucian or the Sivir has been doing wonders.
Yeah, giving them a lot of safety there, because it seems like the major strengths of the team is in the Dumpling brothers. Priority picking here for Yagao, but also, just as you can see in this draft, last pick for Zoom. He seems like he has a champion Ocean that can go. We talk about Urgot because at this point, 9.2, remember, busted champion.
Yes.
But going for how flexible he is. What can you do if you're OMG and you're drafting against them? What can you do as a strategy to put them down a peg?
Oh, this is super interesting. I think there's 2 things you could do. Number 1, you could forego the meta bans and let them on Cassiopeia and Lucian. If you want JD Gaming to beat you, at least make them work for it. Make them work through their bot side. Make them work through Imp, who's not one of their stronger lanes. The second thing you could do is take a head-to-head matchup with Yagao. Icon, an assassin player like we're talking about.
Yep.
Maybe he can give us some surprises where he can shut Yagao down.
It's unfortunate because while that's a good discussion to talk about, another problem is that I don't know what the strength for OMG is, because we saw them actually having a pretty easy strength of schedule in the first 3 weeks, but still falling to what is a 1-4 standing. And the schedule ahead is not looking good.
Oh.
They're in right now, or at least they're going to be in the home venue for Chengdu for a long time. But I don't see an advantage. Starting off with JDG, moving to FPX, and then Sun in game. You can call it a break versus Sino, but I don't know anymore. And then they end it with EDG. Realistically, if you come into this, an analyst could come and say they could be 1-9 by the end of this.
I think it's definitely going to be the case right here. I don't want to jinx OMG, but if you look at that schedule right there, you know what the team that has the lowest positioning among those 5?
Which one?
It's Edward Gaming. When the weakest team you're about to face is Edward Gaming for your next 5 matches, you've definitely got a problem. Now, the good upside of that is that they are playing in their home arena for all 5 of these matches, so not a lot of adjustments needed to be made for them.
Yeah, and I think the one adjustment we need to see from OMG is, while we're seeing new players come into the midst, find a strength. Let's take a look at the roster where we can see that strength. Xiyang in the top lane. Penguin, new jungler for them, coming in from the LDL, is going to round out their jungle. And then Icon mid lane, Chelly as the AD carry, and the bottom laner, support 5.
And over here on JD Gaming side, we have the Dumpling duo in Zoom and Yagao, Flawless starting over Levi today, Imp starting over Bavoy and LvMao, their team captain, to round out the roster.
So the first thing I want to point on is Penguin. Penguin coming in, because this is a discussion we've had for now, let's say 2 years. It is a rotating lineup for the jungle position on OMG. There is no consistency there. They started off with, oh wow, I don't even know. I guess this is actually, you don't even know. Really,
World 6, Mountain were the guys that they were running last split. This time around, you have Penguin, Best 16. And I think Mountain is still there on the roster, but the other 2 have left the team.
Who do you think was the strongest jungler for this team?
Oof. Okay, so I felt like last split, I would give it to Jeko, but only by a very slight margin. I think that has traditionally been OMG's weakest spot, is that they're caught between win conditions. They have this win condition where they want to go in early aggressive. They have so many solo kills in their solo lanes that if they had a good jungler to really close the deal out in the first 15 minutes, then they would be a very strong team. And the other win condition was probably get a better bot laner, because right now OMG cannot really do it in terms of the 5v5 team fight. They don't have an elite marksman like iBoy Uzi to really carry it through.
One person that you're seeing on the screen is Xiyang. We didn't think he would come back into the lineup because Ale had been performing so well individually speaking, but it seems like shot calling stability has been a major issue for this team. I'm going to go out and say that it's been a major issue for the team for the last 2 years, where leadership has been an issue. I would never say that skill differences have been the plaguing point for OMG, because Icon is still one of the best mid laners of the league in a very stacked league when it comes to mid lane talent pool. And then Ale being able to come at the top side, I would say coming into this split, OMG had a very high praise from all of us in coming in strong in comparison to last split, but it seems like it's same old, same old.
Yeah, definitely. They're still doing okay in the laning phase, but key stats, I think they're missing out. They don't have that early game punch like we were talking about. Their first blood rate, still lowest in the league, only 19%. So 1 out of 5 games are they getting off to a great start in terms of that category. And their bot side has one of the lowest first tower rates taken, 9%. So that's only 1 in 10 games do they take that first tower gold and get that first brick. So the early game, big issue for them, and that's pretty much what they've been banking on throughout the past splits, is their early game strength. They don't really have a strategy beyond 15 minutes.
Ripe for the picking for JDG. JDG, remember the last series they went 0-2 for TOP. They are ready. They are primed to come back on this one. After losing in such a fashion where it was just about their carries, I'd say Imp and Bavoy, while they are strong in their own styles, still not strong in the top echelons of AD carry, like the marksmen in the league. But just looking at the competition going up against Chelly and 5, it seemed like they'd be able to come out of laning phase just fine.
Well, I would say it's kind of an interesting scenario between these two, because for JD Gaming, even though the AD carries probably aren't like the top tier echelon AD carries, they have a very clearly defined function on the team. It's push the lane and get that first tower. If Lucian is up, if Sivir is up, they're just going to lock it in. They're going to make sure they get that lane as a strong point on the map as well. So they have 58% of the first towers taken. That pretty much means that JD Gaming is winning across all 3 lanes on the map.
Yeah, and also just the most team fights, as you can see on the chart here. Team fights a game in favor of JDG. First towers in favor of JDG. 50% first blood percentage. It just goes to show that the early game, and in terms of team fighting, JDG come out on top. So Clement, I just want to know, what does OMG actually, what can they do against them?
What they really have in the bag is Icon. That's pretty much the only win condition, or statistically the only strong spot for this team. In terms of solo kills, Icon is still an absolute beast. You know what? Yagao might have gotten away with the Zoe into LeBlanc matchup against Kuro. I don't think he's going to be able to get away with it. With LeBlanc given to Icon.
Funny fact on that one is also you talked about the individual laners Icon as well. Solo kills has been a strong point for this team in terms of their solo laners. So you're right, if there's any strength that could come in their solo lanes, a surprising point was Xiyang's solo kills in last split. He led the pack when he was just against the Shy, so you would never expect to call Xiyang a strong laner, but he had surprising points as we're just about to head into pick and ban.
And for this ban pick phase, JD Gaming actually going over onto the red side. Now, typically they are a blue side focused team. And what we're seeing from OMG, very interesting, is that they're actually taking away the LeBlanc. So what we've seen from this draft is like TLP actually ran this as well, where they ban away the LeBlanc and then they first pick the Zoe themselves. A
drafting point you didn't want to see happen for OMG was them letting both the LeBlanc and the Zoe onto the map for JDG, but both of them are eliminated. In fact, it was Yagao saying, I don't want to see Icon Zoe.
Nope. Zoe is such a high priority champion between all of them right now. We're seeing the kind of standard ban pick phase when JD Gaming is on red side. However, if you do something like this, it does leave open so many meta picks. The Cassiopeia, big one we're talking about. Lucian taking off the board.
Lissandra's out there too.
Is Chelly going to be able to lock down the Cassiopeia? Not a champion that he's played this split, but as we all know, Cassio is one of those champions you just don't feel like you can give away.
We have a pretty good idea of what Imp would want to pick up since the Kaisa has been a major priority for him. But for Chelly, I have no idea. You're right. He's been an AD carry that's more often willing to throw away the AD part about that and go for a mage in the bottom lane or a Yasuo pick. So a Cassiopeia, Icon is a phenomenal Cassio, and they could flex that between two roles.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. He's already got the snake tongue out already, you know, just sensing the air around him. But Cassiopeia, like we were talking about, is a flex pick as well. And for Chelly, he's been playing majority mages and bruiser type of champions. The first one to bring out the Nico and the Victor in the LPL so far. So mages should not be a big problem for him.
And that's going to be a Jarvan lock-in here for, you would expect it to be Flawless. A pretty strong jungler and a good replacement for the Camille that got banned out. Remember, as a ban seer for OMG, it's been the Camille, LeBlanc, and Gragas locked away. So that's two junglers off the board for both these guys. So, oh my god, just setting the tone here, Clement.
Oh boy, this is such an aggressive draft. JD Gaming, like the stats we were talking about, they like to get into team fights. So they're foregoing any lane strength. They're just saying, let's just go straight for the combo. Initiation is always the key priority for JD Gaming, and that's what they're locking down with this draft.
Kind of reminds me of last year. Remember about the fact that they didn't lane. They ended up roaming so frequently. So it could be a LvMao Galio, but it likely should be a Yagao's Galio.
Oh, well, we haven't seen a mid-lane Galio for quite a while now. I have to assume that's going to go to LvMao for the most part. I think most of our Recon players have switched over to the Galio. You have that flash AoE stun on him that really substitutes the quickness nerfs that were coming in on the 9.1 patch.
Speaking of engages, so I wonder if the Recon's going to be locked in by JDG against OMG. Likely not, because the Tahm Kenchman's locked in. Extra support and protection for the Cassiopeia, you would imagine. And the Urgot being locked in, thankfully, before the second phase. So OMG already coming out, which was their two solo laners, expectedly. It'd be the Cassiopeia, Urgot, and a Tahm Kench locked in here.
Yeah, I like the Urgot pick right here because it's not a guarantee that it's going to go towards the top side.
True.
And that's the only matchup you want to avoid against the Yorick. We've actually been seeing a lot of good counters come out against the Yorick. Basically something that can, bruisers that can outduel him. The Theora has come out before, and the Jax, like we've seen in North America, has also worked wonders against him. So OMG have set themselves in a very good place. The question is, does Xiyang actually have those champions in his pool?
Yeah, he's going to be tested against Zoom. Remember, the first Yorick coming in the LPL was Zoom's Yorick last split. Insane to see him now go back onto it. Just taking a look at the second phase bans. Kaisa being locked away against Imp.
Kind of an interesting selection right here. Typically we do see the counter matchup being the Ezreal just to avoid the laning phase altogether.
Ooh.
But JD Gaming are saying, you know what, we're actually going to ban it ourselves. I wonder what that AD carry is at this point. It does look like maybe a Sivir just to consistently push the lane in. They want to forego the laning phase entirely.
Might be just that. Remember, Lucian banned as well. So both these AD carries are being tested. A little bit more ownership, I would say, from OMG to say maybe we can throw the Cassiopeia bottom lane when we have the Tahm Kench. The lane would be strong. Maybe even throw a Victor in the midst. This is when you see AD carries not really being AD carries, but nah, JDG says hell no. They're just going to lock in the Kalista.
Oh, this is a very tough matchup for the Kalista, actually, because the grounded effect will stop you from hopping around in terms of the bot side. So I expect this matchup to be a heavily focused down matchup, or maybe they're just calling out Chelly. They're calling out Chelly and saying, you know what, you haven't picked the Cassiopeia this split so far. Maybe you simply don't have that champion. How about we test it? We think this Cassiopeia is actually going to go mid or somewhere.
We'll find out, but that's a Renekton here top lane for Xiyang. We haven't seen him in the LPL for quite some time. This is his second series this split, but the last time we saw him in 2018, Renekton was how he was getting those solo kills. It might be OMG now prioritizing top side, and that's going to be a Zhao as OMG round out their draft.
All right, I like this champion coming in from Penguin, something that can get you rolling early. Just play toward the top side. You can see how aggressive those AD lanes really are in the Urgot and the Renekton. They've got a really good setup so far. It's about JD Gaming and what they're going to play mid at this point. Still lacking a mid-game champion. I think Yagao might actually have to pick up something relatively new here. Does go for a safe option in terms of Lissandra, but that's still not a lane he can really reliably push out and get ahead, so he's not going to have that much roam impact.
That's a lot of engage. As you mentioned, that's the Lissandra there for Yagao. So just looking at the lineups, JDG have a pretty heavy engage composition. And I don't know if they want to engage into that one, OMG.
Oh, no. I really think OMG have them beat in terms of the drafting. I really like what OMG has done right here. They did keep up with the pressure with the Cassiopeia first pick. JD Gaming, they were thinking, wait a minute, this Cassiopeia might not even be going bot lane. We know that Chelly hasn't played it. We know Icon's a great Cassiopeia. They actually elected to ban out a lot of the AD carries from OMG's squad. And like you were just saying, OMG has a team where they're not afraid of the engages coming out from JD Gaming. They're willing to fight you head on. Mid-game team fight, going into a Cassiopeia and a Renekton Urgot at the same time, that's an impossible task.
And that's something you wanted to see coming into this game. You ironed out the drafting situations JDG have put themselves in, and you said that, you know, they've been a really scary team to draft against. And it seems like JDG going into this game, they're set up to fail.
Ooh, they have the engage potential. That's what they have over OMG, but not the team fighting potential. I think that's the main thing that we're looking down at right here. So the question is, when will JD Gaming find those opportunities to leave lane? When will they actually get their roams on where they can find catches where it's uneven numbers? Because if it's a straight 5v5, I give it to OMG.
And you know what? It feels like a new split, breath of fresh air for JDG while they want to remain in that old style of leaving lanes, starting the fight early, level 6 Kalista ultimate, let's go. I wonder if they can get that going with Flawless leading the bunch, but he has been an active jungler for the past 2 years. You would expect him to be on top of it going up against Penguin, new face. I don't know if he can come up against that one and face that challenge. It's going to be rough. We're going into game 1 in the Chengdu Arena. OMG has to start now if they're able to get any momentum going. Let's get it going into game 1.
Ooh, yeah, early action right off the back here.
Yeah, not going to let the fans end up cheering, but no CC comes across. Just a pixel away, and 5 would have needed to flash. At least he has cleanse, I'm going to give it that. But pushed away from the bottom side of the map.
I will say LvMao actually played it quite safe right there. He could have skilled into the AoE taunt and try to get something going level 1. But Icon not on the map. You don't really want to play against Urgot level 1. So does decide to go for a safer option and just back off.
Take a look at that. On top of a ward. We'll get to the rune choices soon enough, just making sure that Icon doesn't caught out. Now let's get diving into it. Hail of Blades Kalista.
Ooh. That's a really nasty one. Of course, you do need to pace yourself, so you can't be hitting the minions. It will proc on the rest of the targets. You need to give it a little time to reset. But it's still a probably strong trading tool early on, and they're looking to get those early stacks going.
Yeah, that's the thing. Remember, lethal tempo is the alternative. Well, in terms I guess Halo Blades is the alternative, but he's gone to the Halo Blades option. It procs immediately, so whenever you start the trade, that's when it gets bumping. So he wants to be able to get in and out as soon as possible. In and out trades topside too. Press the attack is the go-to for Renekton, and he's going to be trying to pressure out. There's a lot of pressure here from OMG's laning phase, so that's something you want to see from OMG. At least start early. You can't have JDG be a great team fighting team and a team that takes over the early game.
And exactly, if OMG are not going to start late, they have to start early. That's basically how you have to play the game. You have to have one strong power spike to really move forward. And OMG are electing on the early side of the on the early portion of the game so far. The big matchup I want to see is how can Penguin face up against Flawless. If you look at the keystones right here, it is a very gank-oriented keystone. Usually we do see Halo Blades. It does allow you to duel the enemy jungler just 1v1, but he's saying, I'm going to go for an option that is better in terms of shutting down the solo lanes. I need to keep the Dumpling brothers behind.
Take a look at the pathing that you just mentioned. Not only was able to go red buff into Scuttle Trap, but he took both Scuttle Traps. It's actually Jarvan hiding within his own jungle, so Penguin has actually had a really good start here.
Yep, strong early level 2, just getting the bottom side and then pathing directly through the mid lane, getting that help with the Urgot shove and locking down the second Scuttle as well. Very good start.
Yeah, going to be in dire straits for JDG unless if they get a gank going. Where do you want to see them gank first? Because Jarvan do want to be able to get onto the map, but I don't know if there really is an option here. What would you like to see?
To be honest, I'm really worried about the Kalista lane. Kalista is the lowest DPS AD carry that you can play in professional games. Her strength does come out early in the laning phase, and you need to capitalize on that.
I think 5 saw you there, buddy.
He definitely did. The ping's going down. 5 probably didn't notice that he was scanned.
Can slow Chelly, but Chelly will just be fine. The wave is pushed up, so Chelly and 5 are in a vulnerable position. But if they saw the jungler, then it's a little bit unfortunate for Flawless. But taking a look at the trade here, Icon just pushing out the wave. Yagao is low on mana, but they don't have they both have teleports, so makes it so the laning phase is a bit null and void.
Yeah, don't think either jungler is really going to find much in terms of his mid lane. Zoom just getting the morning miss onto Xiyang. That was one of the big buffs to the Yorick champion. Just getting that bug fix where he can reliably use those goals to stick to his targets.
Yeah, getting to see the Yorick, but my goodness, the bottom lane is going to be where it's starting up. Zhao starts the fight, but does he want to stick on top of it? Flashing away. LvMao now no part of it, but he's getting on top of it. That should be a first blood. Cassio nets it. Really difficult for JDG to go for it, and they once again die in a 2v2 situation in the bottom lane.
And look at that laning phase situation right here. It's going to be so hard for him to pick up any of these minions. He's going to have to miss almost half the entire wave. Just a horrible timing on LvMao, not synced up with his jungler to face check that brush.
This has been a plague to the JDG early game. Imp has usually been the one to die. Talking about statistically speaking, the bottom laner that's died the most in the split, in the laning phase, has been Imp.
Ooh.
This time it was LvMao that ended up dying. It's just been a laning phase plague. You can call it communication errors. It just feels like Imp and LvMao are not on the same page when it's just the first 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and that was a very costly mistake to make, because if you look at the CS, it's actually ballooned to 2 full waves at this point. And Cassiopeia, Chelly most likely still has control over this wave. They're having problem even just hitting the minions and CSing at this point.
Feels pretty bad if you're a Kalista in a losing lane matchup. Penguin's not going to get jumped in on. I mean, he's going to be pretty comfortable about this one, but Lissandra's going to follow through. He's just going to say, no bueno, I don't want this. Move on towards the scrubs. I
really like the use of the phase rush right there. Penguin using it to disengage from his current position, knowing that Yagao would come in earlier. That was some heads-up play, and also a bit risky to stay there for those auto attacks.
Yeah, it just goes to show that both Yagao and Flawless on the same page. Teleport coming through here, but I don't know if JD can get this. It might be a flash here. No, don't even need it. 5's going to get out. Not easy enough. But here comes Penguin. Is it going to be on time? Flawless is taking a lot of damage as another teleport comes in. Who's it going to be? That's Icon.
Does miss out.
Oh no. All right, here goes Oh, actually, Flawless is going to get out scot-free. Oh, just kill him. Ah, there we go. That's going to be another kill here for OMG, and LvMao dies as well. Double kill for Icon.
Oh, and it's disaster for JD Gaming. We're talking about they absolutely needed to get the Kalista ahead. There is no secondary option if you go into the Kalista, but they probably throw a little bit too much. None of the previous flashes were actually burned from the bot lane, outside of 5s, excuse me. The flash was still onto Chelly, so LvMao only had the Tahm Kench to really go on and try to lock down. But with the gray health, he was able to walk for so long and just a much better teleport timing onto Icon.
Remember, that's a cleanse as well. Xiyang is going to have to get out of this one, at least for my ears' sake. But 5 has cleanse in this game, and that's fine if you have spell books. But in this one, he's actually coming out with Guardian, so he recognized how he was going to be pressured on early on, cleanse out of it, and it felt like such a stretch for JDG. But they're still on the map, and they still want to get going. Flawless has chosen his second target, top side of the map with Yagao.
This is scary because Xiyang actually has a lot of options right here. The Dominus goes in.
Xiyang, he could actually just get soloed out here, but it should be clean. Flashes out. He puts in so much work, gets no reward, dies under tower, and loses a pretty large wave.
I have to say, I actually think that he played it as well as he possibly could. You could see getting the extra rage and the enraged Q down, keeping his HP alive, dodging out the EQ combo. Even though he went down, the amount of resources pushed into getting that kill was, I think it was actually worth it for OMG. You have to remember their jungler's getting a Drake on the bot side and also free turret plating gold in the mid lane as well. All props to Xiyang's great play.
Thankfully, OMG is going to be trading on the bottom side of the map. Going to be able to take down Mountain Dragon. God bless you, Mountain. You may not be on the field with OMG, but at least we can take it with us. That's going to be another Mountain Dragon, actually, for the second one. So at least OMG has a heads up into the next dragon. Might see a bottom side focus here for OMG.
And this is pretty scary for JD Gaming overall. They can't really give over 2 Mountain Drakes at the same time. They don't want to face the 5v5 incoming with OMG, with Renekton and Urgot in the mid game. That's just an impossible 5v5 to straight up win. JD Gaming, for them, they're going to have to sync up a catch before the next Mountain Drake comes up.
Yeah, it's looking really good for OMG. Even with the death there for Xiyang, he seems to be getting bullied on. I wonder if he's going to keep mentally strong, because this is going to be a tough situation. Still has the slice, but no dice. Didn't get to use it on a champion, and dies once again.
All right, this one might be much more in favor of JD Gaming. They're definitely getting something out of this one. The Herald, unfortunately, doesn't come up for another minute, but they should get some turret plating for that kill overall, and it is going to set up Zoom to be that split pushing carry later into the game. So they do have a late game win condition set up with these 2 ganks.
2 turret platings here for Urgot, so at least they're getting something out of it, but this is looking really rough for Xiyang. Topside twice, being able, getting bullied by 3 members on the map. Even just leaving, okay, wants to stay on a little bit longer to get another turret plating. It's fun how much gold actually can enter these guys' pockets just by staying on the map longer.
And we have to say, these are kills that will change the dynamic of the lane. Renekton, if he can stay ahead, he has the AoE damage to take down the ghouls really quickly. He can actually beat the lane matchup against the Yorick. But this is no longer the case. Yorick up 2 kills, turret plating. He's already got his ninja tabbies ready. He's going to hit the Triforce Power Spike much earlier than the Renekton, and it's pretty much all downhill from there. So JD Gaming, even though their kills into the top side, I don't think were necessarily gold efficient, they were changing the dynamics of the lane.
I feel like Xiyang's going to have to keep mentally strong, because you're right. In the previous seasons, you see the kill gold and just how well JDG's been moving. You would assume that they would have the gold lead. Currently, it's in OMG's favor just because of how much gold, as you mentioned, is in Icon's pocket, and how well Chelly's currently doing in the bottom side of the map. Take a look at that. That's a hefty CS advantage, 20 CS ahead of the pack, and he's able to get his, I want to say Seraph's Embrace, but that's not the case. It's Archangel Staff, so he's going to be stacking much earlier on to get to his defensive item there. So Cassio's ahead of the pace. Chelly has been good with a lot of these mage, champions, so he's been really strong on that front. We might see a strong Chelly game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Chelly is one of those AD carries where he looks fine in most phases of the game, but then he suddenly ends up dead in the team fights. That's Chelly's biggest problem so far. And if you give him a good, strong laning phase, I actually think it decreases the chances of him going haywire in terms of the team fights. So we are going to see a very strong start from him. I like what JD Gaming are doing, still trying to capitalize more on their topside leads.
Powering Zoo. I wonder who they're going to be handing this one off to, because ordinarily you give it to the jungler so he can make the decision, but they've been playing topside so heavily. But Penguin actually catches this one out, has a great jungle IQ. Recognizes this is on
oh my god, he steals it, and he's going to try and solo out. Goodbye! Yes. Down goes Flawless. All seemed lost there.
Penguin, wonderful IQ to see it happening, and now he has it in his pocket.
Flawless didn't have the smite for that. He actually won the. He probably did smite, but Penguin did win out on the fight.
Yes.
Still, just great timing on the entire play, and they cancel out all the leads that JD Gaming had on the top side. They sacrificed a lot of gold in this mid lane just to make sure Zoom could be that late game split pushing carry. But with that Herald going over to OMG, they're gonna lose the mid tower for this, definitely. And the mid tower is basically you break open the entire mat, and split pushing isn't really viable if you can't control mid.
Just think about how large that one, how massive that one was. Because you're right, JDG were on the path of being able to open up top lane. Look at how low this tower was before the Rim Trail was ever even in play. That could have opened up a Yorick, sped up the game. Suddenly he can join the play of mid lane a little bit more often. But now this is just spiraling into OMG's favor. Penguin's debut match, and he's coming out strong for the team.
Yeah, look at that CS lead as well. 84 CS compared to the 57 for Flawless. Now, Flawless does like ganking a lot more than he does like farming, but this is still kind of a ridiculous stat to be that far ahead. He's also sitting at one level ahead in terms of the laning phase, and we're gonna see Flawless be really flipped on in terms of the game style. Flawless likes to go in 1v1. It's now gonna be Penguin's turn.
Yeah, and just so people know who Penguin is, he's been in the developmental league on Oh My Dream, you know, the secondary team for OMG, and they have been last place in their division. And Penguin has actually been behind in CS, behind in pace for the majority of his time in the league, but they saw a lot in him. You can just say it's come down to coordination, but it seems like coordination has been very strong for OMG. Teleport coming in. Chelly seems to be in danger, but not really. He also has flash and heal here, so this is actually a really awkward situation for JDG.
JD Gaming, they cannot give Ober double Mountain Drakes. That's pretty much a death sentence with how strong OMG's mid-game composition is. So they are executing the strategy like we were talking about. You need to find a pick before OMG can group up on that dragon. Unfortunately for them, though, Chelly does back out in time. Yes. So all OMG needs to do is reset this play, and they should be in a strong position.
Look at all of those zombie wars. That was the doing of Yagao, but Yagao is on top of Urgot. Really tanky, no mana to fight back, but this should be enough time. Galio ultimate comes through, popping up Penguin. Penguin is the point of focus. Down he goes. Zoom gets the kill. This is looking like a really bad pick here. OMG so far behind, loses 2 members. Well done from JDG.
Oh, and that was a massive, I believe it was a triumph coming in from Flawless. He gets, sorry, it was the heal coming in from Ip, keeping Flawless alive. And JD Gaming, they find the picks that they were looking for. I feel bad for OMG because they already dodged out on the teleport. That should have been a situation where it was just a clear reset, regroup, and you could have taken that Mountain Drake. There was no way JD Gaming could really go back on him.
I don't think you want that one. Icon finds himself in no man's land, has to flash away because he was put in the kitty pen.
Oh boy, and Yorick is really scaling up his damage in that one. The Triforce completed already. You could see in those team fights, Xiyang, even with the Dominus, not able to keep himself alive throughout that fight. I have to say, OMG, they let their guard down on the win conditions. It was very clear-cut what JD Gaming had to do. They absolutely needed to find a pick to prevent the Mountain Drake from going over to OMG, but OMG, they just did not play it safe enough in those few seconds.
One good thing about Yagao is that he was able to sweep through the entire Dragon Plate, and Icon was alone, very far out in the lane. This was a fight that Penguin elected to take, but recognized very quickly he was going to die out so fast. Chelly was slow to the pace alongside 5, and if you don't have the members, number games catches up against you. JDG would take that one easily.
Yeah, clutch healing coming in from Imp to save the trade from the top laners as well. And we can see Xiyang now going 0-3-0. Renekton not really known as a late game champion at all. So without one single play, JD Gaming actually clarifying their win conditions by so much. They got the Mountain Drake, works great for the 4-1 composition as well. And they're really coming into this phase of the game pretty much on an equal footing.
Yeah, 3 deaths feel so bad. A lot of the times if you're a top laner in this situation, I know you've been in this spot where it's just like you've been focused in by the jungler, mid laner. Everyone has been in the top lane. And OMG, for the most part, have been taking out good trades spot side of the map, but that really put them far behind. Suddenly 5 and Chelly are going to be playing back a little bit. Now they've switched sides a little. Now they're going to be in the mid lane. as the lane assignments are coming through. Which lane assignment do you like in particular? Because it seems like LeBlanc is going to be coming topside. You might see a cute play coming out here by JDG.
Yeah, JD Gaming, they just really want to open up a long lane so they can start to pressure with Zoom. He's already very far ahead of his itemization. I like the play overall. I feel for OMG, their laning situation is actually a bit more precarious for them. I don't really like the 1-3-1 where you have a Cassiopeia in the mid lane.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just going to get shut down super easily. He can't really go anywhere. So I feel like the correct lane assignments was actually to have, you know, Renekton and Zhao somewhere else on the map and have that AD carrying the top side and try to let JD Gaming know that they're not taking this down for free.
It certainly feels like if you're behind with this composition, you get kept down because the mobility is just not there for the Cassiopeia, very obviously. You know, Urgot being picked out earlier. Ooh. But they see something cute. Who are they going to pick up? Remember, Kalista ultimate is there for LvMao, so one of the safest dual lane to actually go up against. If you're Imp in this situation, you're like, okay, I've died a few times, but who are you going to really fight? I can just leap and bounce away from you. And if you try and go on as my support, well, I just pick him up.
Exactly, and Imp still has the flash right there, so Icon not seeing Flawless on the map. Thinks better about it, backs off on the play. And I think that's a big problem for OMG. They pretty much don't have map pressure at this point just because of how far the Zoom matchup has gone, how badly the Zoom matchup has gone for them. And even though they still hold on to a gold lead, it's going to be very hard to transfer that gold into actual objectives at this point. I feel like they have to wait for the next dragon. But unfortunately for them, the next dragon is something that JD Gaming can actually forfeit. The Cloud Drake is not going to change the dynamics of the match much. If it comes to a 5v5, they can just back out and let OMG take it. Yeah,
it could just be them realigning. But just to take stock of the items, it's the Seraph's Embrace just being picked up by Chelly. Yagao is kind of waiting. Oh my god. All right, Zoom is going to be opened up on. He can't get out of there just because he's on top of the miasma. He has an opportunity now, but he's in Tahm Kench's stomach. Great play. It's going to be Chelly picking up that kill. I like how everyone held on to their damage. They definitely thought about who the bounty was going to go to in that specific fight, and they do have the Cassiopeia picked up for that. Now, what they really need the Cassiopeia to actually have and get going right now is the wave clear in the mid lane. It's getting a little bit dangerous at this point, and even though they did get that play in the top side, they are paying a lot of turret gold for it. Yeah, it reminds me of a vitality move. Yagao in the bottom lane, just looking to bully what seems to be Urgot. They've been splitting them up. Take a look at this. Flawless alongside Yagao at all times. Great control ward being placed. Feels like it gives the avenue for a Yagao flank if possible. And this is something I feel like JD Gaming has been doing much better in 2019. They're not always hard forcing the issue. They're not always trying to match the team fight engages coming out from the enemy team. This time around, they understand that they can get more just by trading map pressure. Going into the bottom side, knowing there's 3 members top, and just making that side of the map set up for the big 5v5 in terms of this next Drake. And with how methodical the past 5 minutes have been going, you might see a slugfest in the next few seconds. Now, 3 seconds until Baron comes up. It's live. Now, Cloud Dragon can be taken, but if you take up Cloud Dragon, then that can be traded aside with the Vision Control top side. And if you're just looking at the composition JDG have, certainly they can take it quickly with the Mountain Dragons that they have. OMG, same, you could say. Good point, Cassiopeia that they have as well. So Baron should be a primary focus. Take a look at where they're heading. Yeah, I like this play by JD Gaming. They don't want to fight the 5v5 against OMG. I think that's a suicide mission with how far ahead Icon is on the Urgot. It's going to get an execute so early. So JD Gaming, they're playing this fencing game where they're just dancing around the map and making sure there's a possibility that OMG members get caught out. Remember, their main composition win condition is their catch potential. They have so many tools where they can catch you out from so far away. Jarvan with the all close to a 2,000 range engage. Galio can fly in. They have Imp with the Fate's Call as well. So this composition is all about engage, and catch. And what you want to set up for the conditions in that is just making sure you have vision advantage. That comes first, and then the catch will happen. Are you concerned with JDG's amount of damage though? Because while they can pick up the fight, issue here is they're at a gold deficit. And on top of that, you have Kalista, Lissandra, and you could even make a point that Yorick, in terms of team fighting, is a little bit so just putting that out in scientific terms. OMG could actually be able to take out these team fights, and an Infernal Dragon coming out next, a lot of that opportunity for OMG if they'd want to.
Definitely is the case. I still have OMG as the heavy favorites when it comes to a big 5v5, and that's why JD Gaming really do need to rely on the catch a little bit more. They also have this condition where they have the top lane split the enemy team up. You can see in the gold lead right now, already 1,500 gold ahead for the top side. But OMG is trying to get something back.
Could be a visual bug on that one. Icon just in the bush, but now he's moving out. He's not being seen. It's going to be Flawless getting picked out if he moves a step further. All right.
Oh, no, he's still in the bush.
Visual bug, visual bug.
You never know where Shia LaBeouf is, but thankfully he walks out of that one cleanly. But Flawless was playing that one really cool. Remember, if you are in a Jarvan's position, if you throw out your flag for vision, well, guess what? You can't throw out your flag to escape out of there. So he just stood idly by waiting. They don't have the vision topside, and that means you have to at least get a little bit, more members in that position. LvMao is currently mid lane, so perhaps you can help out Flawless in that venture. But it seems like new target, red buff being taken by Zoom.
And JD Gaming shifting their game plan. They say Baron's up. It's time to get that 4-1 split push going in towards the bot side. So it's going to be a very tough situation for OMG at this point.
Engage here, but 5 can get at that one easily. Both of them actually. So very difficult for JDG to start out a fight. 5 coming into the pick and ban was like, yep, that's a lot of engage. As long as I get out of it, then I can help my friends out of that one too. So easily dissuaded.
Pressure cooker in the bot side happening already. I'm really interested in how OMG is actually going to respond to this one. I don't think sending a 2v1 towards the bot side is really what you want to do at this point. Yorick is just too far ahead. So I actually think they will try to find a play with the teleport proactively before it gets to that point. If that bot lane turret does get grinded down by Zoom, then I feel like it's a little too late. So they have maybe 1 or 2 minutes, a couple more waves where they can really get that 5v5 going. I think they're going to go for it.
That's a really clear win condition. The fact that Zoom, we've already seen it before when it was RNG going up against VG Gaming. It was just an outright split push win. So you don't want yourself being put through the grinder, a real time limit just on the map. If OMG's trying to play towards Baron, all else, JDG's got to do is hold them firm while Zoom starts whacking at the head at Xiyang.
Yep, we did see Xiyang roam towards the mid lane, just trying to get the catch we were talking about, but couldn't find any purchase. It was a good move from Imp and LvMao to back off on that situation. They knew that the Renekton was missing, and they just get more time for Zoom to really just scale up. They also have a chokehold in terms of the vision between the mid lane and the bot side of the map.
Chelly trying to find a back time. You could already see through his itemizing, he is zooming across. The fact that he could get his Leandri's Torment, I would assume, at that point. That makes Cassiopeia a real scary pick there with the percentage damage you would see from the champion. So looking at just a team fight, if OMG could be in position for Baron, I don't know how JDG can actually rip them apart, how they can tear them away from the pit.
Ooh, that's a very difficult scenario as well. For OMG, I don't think that they actually have enough just raw power to go in there without any picks and stuff.
Okay.
I feel like JD Gaming, with the amount of AoE damage they have and just the control, they will be able to zone OMG off from a straight start. That's one of the things about red side that I do favor, is that if you can go over the wall quite easily, it actually does dissuade teams for just all-inning on Baron. It's a very precarious situation if OMG just go for it straight off the bat. So I do think what OMG are going to try for.
Doesn't want to take it because that's their way to safety. Really smart from Icon. Now he can look for the 1v1. Yagao has to find a way out. Take a look at Galio, who's going to be coming in for him. This should turn out to an all-out skirmish. But no, it's fine. Yagao outplays the situation. Doesn't need the ultimate from LvMao.
Yeah, also held on to his flash in that scenario as well. Very well played by Yagao, actually. The previous statement I was trying to make is that I don't think OMG can straight start the Baron yet.
But they're going to go for a fight, the pick that you were referring to, but they're getting out of the ultimate from Flawless. But another taunt from LvMao. He really wants this fight, but Imp saying, nah, dog, we're getting flanked by Icon. Put him in the pen and let's get out of here. Flash from Imp. Hopefully they can get out of there, but that's actually an Infernal Dragon coming up at a really wrong time for JDG. They would have to forfeit that one to OMG.
Good awareness by OMG. They're in position, in time, grouped up as 5. That's their win condition. Stronger as a team in terms of the team fighting. JD Gaming, once again, up to their same old tricks. They need to find a pick before the Drakes actually come up and before OMG is grouped.
Scary situation though, because they took the Infernal Dragon, they're all off the map. JDG all head back to base. This could just be OMG looking to rush the Baron, but here comes Flawless.
They're at least going to force out a lot of summoners in this situation. If you look at the ultimates, everything is still up for OMG.
Ooh, Yagao's at a flank. Maybe they can pick him off. He doesn't commit to his E. He's in a really bad place. Can they turn this one back on Xiyang? He's in an awkward place. In fact, he's just going to go down. Steric's Gage gets procced. There's another fight to the right. Imp gets the kill on a Zhao. OMG have to back away. JDG retake control of the Baron pit.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a situation where I felt OMG could have played it in a more coordinated fashion. If they all tried out to back onto the left side or to the right side, they could have beat the flank in that scenario. They also had Chelly with Petrifying Gaze that can completely stop one side of the engage in their footsteps. So a little bit of miscommunication. I felt like that was a situation where OMG actually could have backed as 5 and held on to their position on the map.
Yep, rule number 1, if you have a Cassiopeia composition, is group up. Icon looking for a pick on Imp and LvMao on the side, really split up their fights, but they were able to get the pick onto Imp, which is nice. But it's the trade-off. You're trading off your jungler for that one. Penguin ends up dying, so they lose complete control of the Baron pit. Good option there from JDG, who are trying to contest it.
And they did a very good job. I really like how Zoom played out that engage, cutting off the left side of the team fight, making sure they could clean house on that side. And like we were talking about, the control does go over to them on the red.
Colonel comes out 77% in favor of OMG. You don't get to see this a lot. This is looking to be an upset, at least in game 1, but JDG are not going out without a fight. Icon sees a pick on the Flawless. Take a look at just how squishy he is at this point. Has Gargoyle, Stone Plate, and just a little bit of tankiness on top of that, but it just doesn't seem like it matters when it's up against the bullet knees there. They're on the Baron pit. Cassiopeia can burn it. It's on 5k, 4k already. They're going to back away before JDG can even look for a fight. Redemption being locked down. Do they want to make it a 50-50?
Zoom's not here, so that's what OMG is banking on. They just want JD Gaming to come a little bit forward so they can start the fight. But JD Gaming played very, very well, poking on the edges, making sure OMG doesn't have the full committal.
They didn't know that Jarvan didn't have Smite. That's how it just comes down to. OMG were on the pit. A lot of burn damage. Zhao was ready to go for it, but they weren't ready for the 50-50 because they didn't see that Flawless has used his Smite on the previous camp that he was on.
You're right. They actually could have taken Baron right there. That would have been a high percentage play if they did follow through. Like we were saying, just did no Flawless.
And just putting this out there, Steric's Gage report. A few champions on the map that has it. Just looking at the top lane, it was the Steric's Gage towards the Yorick and Zoom and Xiyang. And on top of that, Penguin also has his own Steric's Gage. So it's going to be interesting to see. All of them have the mindset of looking to just go head first, tank as much as possible. And 5 plays a really crucial role because while Galio can come in and have that immediate knockup, he has Redemption. He can get killed immediately. And while you can say the same for Tahm, that brother has, has Grey health. He can hold out his own for a fight and look to protect one of his 2 immobile carries. So OMG, in a theoretical team fight, could come out ahead.
Oh, I still think OMG's very much the favorites here. What they do need to find is a situation where Chelly can actually be in the front lines, use that Petrifying Gaze, and hold off JD Gaming. I don't think they've necessarily found the best terrain to make use of the ultimates they have. At this point, the front to back, Renekton's not going to hold on. Renekton's not going to stay there for long, even with the dominance up. So it does have to, you do have to pull some of your backline into the forefront. I think Icon's going to be the one really leading the charge. Chelly should be in there as well. If he gets the slowdown into Miasma, nothing much that Kalista can actually do after that.
It's like Attack on Titans, if any weebs are out there. If you're in position and you just see an Urgot, a Cassiopeia, you could even say a Renekton. It doesn't matter how far behind he is, he's going to be gunning for you. That's his way back into relevance in these team fights, is to shut you down. So there's a lot you have to do if you're Imp to get out of that situation, which makes a lot of sense that he would go Guardian Angels here.
Oof, double Infernal potential over for OMG. They're grouped up already. Renekton doesn't have the teleport yet, but he should be in there in time. I feel like we're going to see the first 5v5 that's going to close out on both ends. Both sides know they have to go for this, it's not an option for JD Gaming to hold back anymore.
Multiple control wards being picked up. As you can see, the tanks coming back into the fight. Guardian, Angels locked in for Icon, and Xiyang. They are ready for this fight. They want to be able to be the ones to start it all off. But Kalista Ren, a lot of them on Infernal, they want to be able to push Kalista off that one because that's a lot of execute on the objective.
Yeah, Yagao's doing a good job splitting the focus of the team, trying to play the flank on that end. OMG has to go in.
3k HP, they're going straight on to Flawless. They're forcing him out, and they're going to reposition so they can get the objective here. Miasma come out. They're going to rush it. They got the Infernal Dragon. Double Infernal for OMG. Is JDG going to do anything about this?
Penguin still has his flash, so he can't get out of this situation. Oh, he's going to save it. Good play by 5.
Great communication, but you can already hear it. Tower being taken, I would say, bottom lane, so at least Yorick is getting that job down. So there's a lot of threat bot side, but OMG taking every objective, 4 dragons that they have for themselves. God bless that JDG were able to take 1. That would be 5 dragons for OMG if that weren't the case.
And that was a ballsy play from the rookie coming out from Penguin. He went alone into the pit, knowing that his teammates were able to bail him out. And like we were talking about, Chelly going to the forefront, using the miasma and zoning JD Gaming away. That was about as positionally good as you could have played that team fight. Very good things for OMG. It's rare that we see such coordination from the team.
That just makes it so now 1 major objective left on the map. That's the Baron buff. OMG has set the tone and already going back to base. Void Staff being picked up by Chelly. He has 4 items and the stopwatch ready. Stopwatch galore, to be fair, because the Guardian Angel being picked up from both Icon and Xiyang being evolved forms of that. So all of them are super well protected. Penguin, who debatably the least well protected, is the one who's going in the first to start the team fight off. They're in position here. Wards being, if they can take down that 1 control ward, I wonder if the Observer could turn the lights out just to see how little JDG can see. If you just look at the minimap, there's no wards here for JDG. Zoom and Yagao pushing this one up. They want to speed the time limit up. Doesn't matter if OMG is on the Baron pit. They're looking to rush it, but they are on a stark time limit here.
Oh, this is going to be a smite fight for the ages. Penguin versus Flawless. Penguin does have the level lead.
Final countdown, 3k HP, 2k HP. Jarvan goes into the pit, and Tentu takes it. That is a smite steal by Flawless, while they are still threatening the bottom lane Nexus towers. That's, oh my goodness. A la Vitality. You gotta go back to base to help him out. Yagao is going out of here.
Oh, he's gonna get it.
Yes, he's committing to this one, but I think this is a good enough job here. No, Tahm Kench goes down. Zoom is still alive. He's going for the 1v3. He is surrounded and will get taken down. Huge pickup by JDG. Turns this game on its head. Baron and a Nexus tower taken away.
And that's a feels bad moment for OMG, because we've seen them go down the same trajectory so many times before. JD Gaming, they just throw a difficult question for OMG to answer. A 50-50 at the Baron and a 2-man split pushing squad in terms of the bottom side. I have to say, OMG didn't really handle that the best as they could. They still had to teleport onto Icon, so it was a very well... personally, the way I would have wanted it to be played out was Icon just going back, making sure that they set it up this way, making sure that it's going to be another 30 seconds before JD Gaming can pull the same tricks, but they go for the riskier option. They play against the 50-50 on the top side, and they end up losing both ends.
It is the hardest decision you can make. It really is a test to your shot caller at this stage of the game, because 2 people really threatening who has been a weakened Renekton, not going to be able to hold them back. It is OMG saying they can take the Baron in a 50-50, and then they can base on time. At least they based on time. At least they got that one down. But this puts them back so far.
Oh, it definitely does. That split pushing pressure is mounting. I love that getaway imp with the escape plan at the very end right there. Face Call just yanking Flawless away, making sure he doesn't fall down in that fight either. But OMG, they are really pushed down on the ropes.
There's not much you could say, right? It's OMG. They have the team fights, but every single time they're in a position to either take Baron or look for that, is JDG taking the second option. It's them saying, no, side lanes, get away from each other. Disperse. Move to the other lanes and help out your fellow minions. Because at this point in time, you've seen Yagao always taking up these side lanes. Like, who's going to be able to answer him? It's Urgot. But now that's going to be Imp, LvMao, and Flawless knocking at the front gates.
And Who is this JD Gaming that we're actually watching right now? This isn't the JD Gaming I know. What do you mean back out of a team fight? We play the most team fights in the LPL. Like 3.25 by mid-game. We love those 5v5s, but it's amazing to watch this team actually know and learn when to back out of things, when to try and play a macro advantage.
It's definitely the IQ there for JDG. While it is their preferred style, it is not a limitation that they have. Take a look at Zoom just constantly throwing in super minion waves. And I guess his own minions on top of that. He's a Yorick. He has a gang of his own. Just making it so difficult for Xiyang to ever feel connected on the map. Lissandra's going to be backing away. The focus is going to be this Elder Dragon. You would have to expect this to be the last stage for a fight. Teleport coming in. OMG are not going to let JDG pick this one up for free. But just take a look. Xiyang has to deal with a split push from Zoom. 5k HP on the Elder Dragon.
It's a 4v3 towards the Elder Drake, though. JD Gaming, they're throwing the same question.
Kalista ran, not a lot on that, 500 HP, but no smite to follow it up on. Penguin is not willing to give it a go, but take a look at the bottom side. They have to base. 5 is getting out of here. That's going to be Nexus here. No, what's going on?
Back?
I need to see it. That's over. The end of the game. Congratulations to JDG and Zoom. He picks this one up. He robs OMG and Chengdu. The first game goes over to JDG.
Oh, disaster striking. JD Gaming with the split pushing potential right there. I actually felt like because they backed off of the Mountain Drake, it actually made the bot side push happen even faster. Once you get that Elder Drake down, you get that massive boost in terms of the objective damage as well, and they just straight ram through the OMG defenses.
You saw no words being spoken across OMG's lineup. What do you got to say? Pure disappointment, because the graph doesn't lie. 100% in favor of OMG from minute 1 to minute 28. But it was just that one play. Gold lead didn't matter when JDG were running you across the map. That has to feel bad for OMG.
Oof, definitely does. One of the roughest ways to win. And this is why OMG as a squad, even though they have the talent to compete, they have the players to compete, they oftentimes don't pull it through. It's because other teams have a more mature shot calling, they have a better game plan, they play to their win conditions, and that last fight was, that was so close on the edge. JD Gaming, they had to risk a 4v3 on the Elder side against a team with 4 Drakes.
Yes.
You understand, if that Elder Drake goes over, that's almost instantly light out. That's just so much damage on the enemy team with already double Infernals. That would make it effectively 3 Infernals, where they could very easily just close out the game. But JD Gaming, they were willing to risk it. So even though OMG, they got a little bit confused by the crossover, you have to give props to JD Gaming as well. That was a very risky play.
Yeah, it felt less of a 50-50 and more of a 0-100, because it just at that point in time, it felt like JDG were using the Elder Dragon to actually just pull the opposite OMG away from the Nexus. Give them something else to dangle over their heads, because it was just pure Zoom from minute 1 to minute 30. It was insane to see how well OMG was able to play, so hats off to OMG how the early game was faring.
Yeah.
But my God, Zoom was set up to succeed from the entire outset of the game.
The last play for me was so well thought out from JD Gaming. So what they do is they actually see the Urgot teleport come in. They know that Urgot's not going to be able to help the bot lane.
Yes.
And then they sneak Yagao into the bot side. Absolute genius of a play. They take away the option for Icon to even defend and potentially be at the Elder Dragon at the same time.
Ultimate strategist, and let's see if we can see that in game 2 as we're going to be going off to the break.